So what I am doing is making a mess. Getting ready to take some ply fiber off the bobbin and put it on the nitty knotty to make it into a skein or skein, however you say it where you're from. I say skein, you say skein. Uh, so let me move my screen so that I'm not looking over my head at it. There we go. And I guess I'll put on my glasses. So I still have to finish kitchening the heel on those socks. And then they'll be done. I have a pair of socks on the needles that I've been working on for about 5 or 6 years. I don't know. I can make fingerless gloves like nobody's business, but and socks are basically fingerless gloves with a heel and a toe instead of a thumb. I don't know why. It's a mind thing when it comes to fingerless gloves. But this is a fingering weight yarn. It's like a heavy fingering once it's washed because this is Falkland. It's gonna bloom just a little bit, so it'll be more like a heavy fingering. It's a 3-ply because I chain plied or Navajo plied it, and the colorway is mulberry, and it's some fiber that my husband and I dyed several years ago. The chirping is the classic rubbing against the metal bar on the onboard lazy Kate. My spinning wheel is a queen bee. She's several years old. Well, I think I got my first bee in like 2008, I want to say. And then a couple years after I got it, that's when they came out with the queen bees, and I sent it back to California to have it upgraded to a queen bee, and that's what I've been using ever since. The bobbins are 4-ounce bobbins, although it's been my experience that you can get about 5 ounces on these bobbins, depending on how finely you spin. Like I'm usually spinning lace weight singles, um, so you can get quite a amount. You can get about 5 ounces of fiber on these bobbins. They do have flower heads and stuff now, where you can. They have the king bee, which uses 8-ounce bobbins. Um, and I think they also have adaptations for the queen bees. See, this was like I said, you can get 5 ounces. So this is how much you get, which is about. Let me count this real quick. looking for my, it's over there, for my notebook that has all my little cheats in it. So where is my calculator? I gotta clean my, I just had the calculator the other day. Somewhere in the ether. But this is my little cheat book that I had like a bunch of stuff in. I just had that stupid calculator. Like today, I had my hands on it. I don't know where I stuck it. Anyway, let's see if I wrote it in here. I think it's like 2 point something yards circumference on the knitting line. Need to just take one of my Sharpies and write it somewhere big and highlight it so I'll easily see it. Mm. .38 yards. It's in here somewhere. Nah, I can remember what I did with mine. Let me flag that page. Folded it over. Oh, been a snake it would have bit me. So 2.38 times 31. So that's 73 yards. This is 73 yards right here on the knitting knot. And it's a 3/5. So that 73 times 3 will give you how many yards it is in singles. So what I'm doing is I'm tying the other, the full bobbin to this partial bobbin, and it'll be easy for whoever uses it to take this knot out when they're knitting. They can just easily take that knot out. to separate the two. All right. So I put this one on a little looser because I don't want that knot to be under tension. I don't want it to get too tight. And that's how I keep the colors, the yarns, um, from both of the skeins, from both of the bobbins together. Uh, Something like this, you want to keep as much of the yardage together as possible. Granted, some people probably would take that partial bobbin for like samples and stuff like that, but we all have played yarn chicken enough that I feel like, all the yarn for that particular spin needs to stay together. So I don't need it in a separate skein. It might get separated from the original skein, or you never know. So, and as you can see, my yarn is pretty balanced without even being washed and stuff. It's just the fact that I've been spinning so long, and I've spun Falkland a lot, and I know my spinning wheel, and I know how I like to spin, and I know what I like, and I spin to make me happy. I don't spin to make other people happy. They might be happy once they get some of my yarn, but that's fine too. I'm glad it makes you happy. I'm glad you enjoy it. I'm glad you make beautiful things with it. But I spin for the therapy of spinning. And that means I'm spinning what feels natural to me, what feels good to me. I don't fight with my fiber. If I start spinning a fiber and it's just not, it's taking twist on too fast, no matter what settings I use, it's just not spinning well, then I won't spin it on the spinning wheel. I'll spin it on my drop spindles. And if I don't like how it's spinning on the drop spindles, then it becomes mulch for my garden. And that way it'll help me grow food to feed my family. It's going to make me happy some kind of way. Now, that's like natural fibers. Like if it's a dyed fiber, then I use it for stuffies and stuff like that. Like when I make stuff for the kids, and I'll just stuff it, use it as stuffing. Or I'll give it away and give it to somebody else who might be able to use it and enjoy it. It might need to be recorded. It might need to be blended with another fiber. I don't know. But those are all possibilities that can be used when you get a fiber that just it's just not spinning, it's not drafting right. It could still have a lot of lanolin, have old lanolin on it, and so that's why it's not moving freely. It could have some type of spinning oil on it from if it was processed at the mill. It's a lot of reasons sometimes why fiber just does not react the way you would expect it to. And why fight it? Just let it go. Let it go. Feed your plants. Let it go to somebody else's house, or use it to stuff amigurumis and stuff like that. It can have a use for it. You can find a use for it. You can even felt it. If it's feltable, felt it. Felt it into something that you'll enjoy. And something that some people don't realize is that you can use crochet and knitting as a template for a felted project. You can knit just a plain knit scarf, or a plain crocheted scarf, and then you can take dyed fiber and you can felt it onto that scarf base, and you can make a beautiful wearable piece of art that you need to felt it onto something you need to crochet. And that way you didn't waste that fiber. You turn that fiber into a usable, beautiful project. So it's a lot. It's a lot. So once I get done, what I do is I will count all the strands on one side, multiply that by the yardage. It's 2.38 yards all around to go around this nitty knotty. Give or take, you know, uh, it's gonna be, you're gonna always have more yardage than the 2.38, because it does have to go around this PVC pipe, and so you're basically counting a single strand going around, but these strands sit on top of each other, so you get a little more yardage than what the 2.38 is gonna give you. Okay. All right. So now the next step is to tie the yarn. And the reason you want to tie the yarn is so you don't end up with a pile of spaghetti yarn that you got to then try to figure out how to untangle. So this is another thing that I do with my scraps. I don't buy any fancy twines or anything like that to tie up my finished skeins with. I use yarn scraps from projects where I only had like a couple of yards of yarn left. Like, something like this that was left out of a skein. I'll take that and I'll make it into ties for my hand spun. And so um, about that size. And then I tie it off. I'll tie it off. It's going to have minimum of 4, maximum of 8 ties on it. I don't want anyone getting any yarn from me where they were in complete control of that skein of yarn as they take off the ties so that they can use the yarn. I wouldn't want anyone to end up with a spaghetti mess. Um, Even if you don't put in as many ties as I do, you should at least have 1 or 2 ties on that yarn so that the person can be in control of that yarn and get it on their knitting knot. Get it on their swift so that they can ball it up without having to worry about it getting all tangled to pieces. Uh, so some of this hasn't been cut. So what I do is I would take it and I would fold it. Like this is long enough that I can cut it in force. And then I'll find my scissors wherever they're hiding. First I'll cut the loop at the bottom and then I'll cut it at the top. And now I'll have 4 pieces of string to tie up this yarn with. And that'll be enough. And this is on this other side. Now about like fiber. If you're buying fiber and you're dyeing fiber to sell to people, I know everybody want to pinch a penny, but do not cut the roving. Don't cut it. Nobody wants those shortcuts from cutting a piece of roving. What we end up doing is we end up wasting a little bit of what I do is you end up wasting some of that fiber because colonial fibers used to do that. They would cut the roving, and you would go down to about where you think, probably about 2 inches away from the end, sometimes 3, and you would tug it apart so that you would have the rough end again for spinning. So you wouldn't end up with a bunch of halo from short fibers. It's like having a second cut inside of your fiber. And so never cut the fiber. Just pull it apart. When somebody buys it, if they get a half an inch uh more fiber than, you know what I'm saying, who cares? That's gonna be a repeat customer for you. But I can guarantee you, if I receive fiber and it's been cut, I'll never buy from you again. I can guarantee you that. All right, so this is the skein. What I would do is I would then count all of these and then multiply it by the 2.38, and then that'll give me my yardage for the skein. And I always round down. That way the person is getting more yardage than they think. But I usually tell the people to do this, they can do this themselves, because if I'm sitting here counting all this other stuff, I could already be having another skein off of another bobbin plied up. So I either do this after I sell it, or I tell the person how to do it themselves. You count don't take it off the ties. Count how many strands there are and multiply it by 2.38, and you get your yardage. And like I said, my yarn is pretty balanced to start with. So this is like no tension in this yarn, and you can see how balanced it is. And that comes with practice and experience and knowing your fiber. Um, so then you just twist the ends like so. Hey, Albie, how are you? Long time no hear from. So you just twist it, then you see if it's gonna wrap back on itself, and it does. And you just take it, pull it through the other end, straighten that end out, and there you go. You have a skein of yarn. And oh, it doesn't go there. I gotta put labels on this. And so that is, oh, I forgot I had this up here. Some more ties for the next one. So that is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 9 or 10 skeins. I think 10. 10 skeins of yarn that I've freed off the bobbin so far. And I got let's see, put these socks over there. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 more skeins to get off the bobbins. So as I finish them, I take the bobbins off my off my onboard Lazy Kate. I put them down here in this Sephora bag that I have, and then I pick the next skein that I want to apply. And we're going to go with this one, and this one is wool acrylic blends from Hobby Lobby, from their what's that stuff called? Showstopper fiber. Well, they call it bulky yarn, but it's not yarn. It's woven, just pure unadulterated woven. Like, this is what I'm talking about. Let me see. It's a piece loose. And this stuff is, I love spinning it. It's such a nice, it's fun to spin. Now, this is what I'm talking about. You see how this end is? It's nice and fluffy. So when you're drafting it, you're not going to have, other than the natural halo in this fiber, you're not going to have a bunch of little short ends poking out all over the place. And those ends can cause your fiber, your yarn, to be weak, because you don't know how the yarn is integrating with itself. So those ends could pull free, that yarn could break while you're knitting or something like that. So what we do is what I used to do, like It was like when I had first started spinning when I ordered that fiber. It was beautiful fiber. Don't get me wrong, it was beautiful fiber. But instead of just pulling it apart like this and sending it, they will cut it to make sure they were sending you the exact weight. Like if you order 2 ounces, they sent you 2 ounces on the dot. Who cares if you got this little bit of less than an ounce, less than a half an ounce, you know, less than a quarter ounce? Who cares if you send that to your customer? That's going to mean you're getting repeat customers because, oh, I have a little bit extra. But no, they cut it with scissors. And so then you end up with all, like you have to pull it. Like let's say this end right here is where it's cut, right? Let's say it was cut right there. So now I got to go above the cut about here to where I feel like it'll give, where it'll pull apart. And I got to pull it apart so that I can have this jagged end to start spinning from. And so now think about it. Pretend like this was the cut part. Look how much fiber I got to waste so that I can get to a fiber that I can spin. A fiber that has integrity. So but this stuff is the showstopper. I think it's 80-20 wool, 20% wool, nylon blend. But this gray is gorgeous. See that gray in there? That's the showstopper. So yeah. But anyway, that's gonna be my next ply. And to start plying, I just do a loop. I just go like joint like this. I put a small knot right here to start my loop because I don't want my loop coming apart. This end doesn't have a lot of twist in it. It's been resting too long. And you just pull it through like that. Pull it through. Pull it through. You're just chaining. See, it's like crocheting. You're just chaining with your hand. Pull it through several times till you get a long enough of a lead. And I take this end here to keep my loop from collapsing. I put it over my bobbin. And then this part is what goes on my bobbin. And I do a half hitch. So you're basically going to fold it like that. So it's folded. It's going to go under your bobbin. I don't have anything I can show it to you on. Trying to see if I got something I can show you. I can show you on the knitting knot. Okay. So you're basically it's called a half hitch. So you're basically going to go under your bobbin like this. See? You got your loop end over here. You're holding the other end over here. And you're going to take your end and you're going to pull it through that loop. And then I'm going to take and make another loop, go under it again, like so. See, you got your loop in over here. And I'm going to pull it through a couple of times. I'm going to do that a couple of times, make those half hitches to make sure that my yarn, make sure that you don't want this to be spinning on your bobbin because then it's not going to take on. It's not going to go onto the bobbin. It's just going to keep free spinning and it's not going to take the yarn as you're plying it. So you want to make sure that's up there nice and secure, nice and snug. It's not moving too much so you can get it to load onto your bobbin as you're spinning. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. If I get off of this. Okay. If I've made a knot, and I'll just cut it and be done with it and start over again. Because that's what we do. My husband's listening to basketball. Okay. So I started a hat um, after I got off this morning with y'all. I'm almost finished with that hat, but I wanted to apply. I'll put this in the bag with that sample that lady sent with my new dry band for the Margie Craft Rose. And so this is how far I've gotten with that hat. And this is, like I said, they're scrappy hats. So this is some I Love This yarn. And this is some Red Heart. I think it's called Golden or Harvest or something like that. But it's enough to finish the band on the hat. And so I just wanted to share that with you guys. And I'm going to let you go. And I'm going to get back to plying. And I need to go ahead and just bite the bullet and kitchen this heel on this sock so these socks be finished. I can get them off my desk and put them back in the drawer. So y'all take care. Love y'all. Be good.